Hey guys, hey, welcome back to Zena ASMR. So, in today's video, I am going to attempt to try and tell a true crime story. True crime, true crime, true crime. And this is my first attempt, so don't judge me if I may stumble a little or if I look at my notes back there because I will grab that notebook. Um, but I thought it would be something different, and I just had this idea yesterday. So I was watching someone's channel, and she was telling a true crime story. And I watch true crime cases all the time on YouTube, and I never get the feeling of me wanting to tell some of my own. But yesterday I was working and I was listening to the case, and I was just like, you know what? Like, let me try to tell some true crime stories of mine. Let me not say my own because it's not my own. But let me just tell some on my channel and see how that goes. And I was like excited to look up cases and, you know, read more about what's going on. This is very important to me, even though I have not decided to create these type of videos until now. But it is very important to me to allow others to be aware of what's going on. And if some of these are unsolved, in hopes that these videos can reach someone that may know a little bit more information that is already out there. So let's get started, but I do want to make a statement before I go into this story. Well, not story, this case, that if you are triggered by these type of situations, then please don't listen. We are supposed to be living a life that is stress-free, happy, and don't allow anything to put you in a space that does not make that happen for you. So again, now is the time to click off if it's going to change your whole mood for the day. But I am going to pour me some wine. So this video is for mature audiences only. So if you are a minor, please leave. Don't have your parents fussing at you and you say, oh, well, I was on Zena ASMR channel and she was just I will explain to you why. But let me just talk a little bit about Paul. So Paul was born August 27th, 1964, and he is also known as Paul Jason Deal. And him and Karla were married from 1991, and they divorced in 1994. When Paul was a little boy, he was described as, kind. He was a cute kid. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. He was respectful. I know I read where they said a lot of mothers would go up and pinch his ear. I'm sorry, not his ear, his cheeks. You know how like aunts or whatever, grandparents, they, want to squeeze at your cheeks. Oh my gosh, I hated that. But they would do this to him. He had dimples, which made it extra cute. And he smiled a lot. He was always happy. He was just like a bright little boy. Nothing out of the unordinary. When he was a little boy, his dad, which his name is Kenneth, had fondled a girl. And it didn't affect Paul, but it affected Paul's mother. So the dad, Kenneth, was charged with child molestation in 1975. And he also fondled and sexually abused his daughter, which is Paul's sister. So Paul's mother became very depressed, which I can imagine that you find out that your husband is a rapist. So she distanced herself from the family, and she moved all of her things down into the basement and just was like, I'm checking out of life at the moment. I just don't know what else to do. And I can only imagine her being a mom and her knowing that her daughter was also molested by her husband. It's sad. I don't ever want to experience that. So they lived in the Scarborough area of Canada. And again, it didn't affect Paul because he was getting good grades at school. He was in Boy Scouts. I think he was too young to really fully understand what was going on, which was good because, a lot of times you hear that the cases start when the kids were younger, and the parents either did not notice signs or they refused to get them help for the signs. So it's good that he was able to have a normal childhood, but it's not safe to say that he did not know what was going on or did not pick up these bad habits, because his dad was molesting and raping girls, and later on, so did he. So, it doesn't say like around what age, but after a certain point, Paul started developing like these sexual fantasies, and he enjoyed humiliating women in public. And when he was 16, his mother ended up telling him like, okay, Paul, Kenneth is not your dad. She went to explain to him that she had an Institute, and then he went to a university in Toronto, and that was in 1982, and he worked for Amway. So it was during that time that people believed that the job really affected him. It deeply affected him when he was, you know, doing those sales. So he bought the books and tapes from where he worked, and him and his friends practiced pickup techniques on women that they met in bars based on these books that he picked up. So it was in October of 1987 that he met Karla Homolka, and they immediately was sexually attracted to each other. You know, it was just automatic, like, oh, I want you type of thing. So when they met, Paul started, you know, explaining to Karla all of these sadistic, you know, things that he were into sexually, and things that he wanted to try. He was just very open with what he liked and what he wanted from her. And to his surprise, Karla was interested, you know, and she was open to trying new things with him because she really was into him. And so she's just like, you know, let's try it. You know, I don't have any type of, what do you call it? Like, any type of, basically, she just was open to anything. So it was can't imagine how she was feeling. You know, her parents are right inside. I'm pretty sure she was screaming for help, you know, and just to think about the trauma, the post-traumatic trauma that she would experience every time she leaves out of her house, looking at the area that she was raped in, or even her not feeling comfortable with being home. Everyone's home is their comfort, it's their safe place. So to be raped at your house, And then again December 23rd. And it was at this point they had a name, that he was the Scarborough rapist, and he raped a 17-year-old girl with a knife. Then again in April 18th of 1988, May 25th of 1988, he was taken out of the bus shelter and he hid behind a tree. Again, May 30th, 1988, October 4th, 1988, December 16th, 1988, November 17th, 1988, December 27th, 1988. So it's a whole list of, you guys can see that he was raping women. He went all the way up into 1990, the year of 1990, that he began raping women. Okay. So during that time, by the year 1990, Paul was spending a lot of time at Homolka's house, and her family liked him. You know, of course, they didn't know what was going on. They all liked him. They all loved him being around. So he was engaged to Karla, but he then began flirting with her sister Tammy. And Tammy was Karla's younger sister. So it was during this time that Paul was unemployed. He had lost his job because he had smuggled cigarettes through the U.S. border. And he was an accountant. So he had became obsessed with Tammy, again, which is Karla's little sister. So he always wanted to be around her. This is why he always stayed at Karla's house. And he would watch Tammy through a window, and he would just, of course, like she was in there doing taking care of her womanly needs, and he would be sitting there watching her. It was then when Karla decided to break the bedroom window. Obviously, while Tammy was not in there, but she broke the window, which allowed access for Paul to come in her sister's room and do whatever he wanted to do with her little sister. So it was then in July that he made his first move, and he took Tammy across the border to get some beer for her birthday party. And when he came back, he told Karla, like, yeah, me and her made out. And, we just made out because we were drunk. So, the very vicious night then came about. And what I'm about to tell you, what I'm about to tell you, what I'm about to tell you is going to blow your mind. So, six months before And after this rape, he then started serving. I'm sorry, not serving. He then started like buying her all sorts of things that she wanted: gifts, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and her friends. Anything she wanted, he gave it to her. So on December 23rd, 1990, they then administered sleeping pills to her 15-year-old sister in a rum eggnog. So when she lost consciousness, Karla and Paul undressed her and they applied the halothane. So remember, she got that. Remember, I mentioned that she got the halothane from a clinic. She then applied that to her nose and her mouth. So Karla decided that because it was 2 days before Christmas, she wanted to give Paul the best gift that she knew he wanted, which was her sister. Yes, her sister. So Tammy's parents were upstairs sleeping in the bedroom, and they decided to record them raping her. She then began to vomit, and they tried to revive her and called 911 after hiding the evidence of the rape. They dressed her and moved her into a room, and a few hours later, she was pronounced dead without ever regaining consciousness. So, despite how Paul and Karla was acting and the chemical burn on Timmy's face, the coroner accepted the family's version of what happened that night. So they labeled the cause of her death as accidental choking on vomit after consumption of alcohol. So after that, they Paul and Karla decided to role play at night, pretending that Karla was Tammy and she would dress up into Tammy's clothes. They then moved out of Tammy's parents' home and they rented a bungalow so that the parents could grieve. So that wasn't the last of them two. That was just the beginning. They then started kidnapping women, and both of them would record them raping these individuals. They, kidnapped them. It's terrible. So, then the police began getting involved head and face with a flashlight, but she claimed she was in an automobile accident, and she returned back to work on January 4th of 1993. Her parent, her co-workers took her to, her co-workers called her parents, and the parents took her to the hospital where she filed charges that she was a battered spouse, and he was arrested. But during that time, they had found a suicide note that he had left. So I am going to stop it here to make this a part 2, because I want to give more light on the other victims that they raped and some killed after the killing of Karla's sister Tammy. So I'm going to end it here and make sure you tune into part 2. Part 2. Part 2. 2. 2. 2. And make sure you like, subscribe, and comment for more content. Again, to click that bell so that you can hear the part 2. I just wanted to give an overall case of what was taking place, but I want to go